What did Jesus mean when he said, "My yoke is easy and my burden is light"? Do you understand what that's saying? Continue watching to find out. Our kids are used to getting guidance as to how they should handle things, such as school, what classes they should be taking. And in particular, our youngest son was guided to take 5 AP classes. And for those of you who don't know, that's called advanced placement. Those are college level classes.
And he's a sophomore.
And he's a sophomore in high school, which is the second year in high school, for those of you who are not in the United States. So it got to a point where the software that the school had us using was giving our son a lot of frustration, or he was allowing himself to be frustrated by it, or he's struggling with the information. And my husband said, you know what, we can go ahead and just drop a couple of those classes and make things easier for you. And he said...
No, before you get to that, the reason why I suggested that was because, number one, we found out that other people were struggling with this software. That for whatever reason, the software was not very user-friendly.
Correct.
At all. And the school had done what they could, but it was something that they were required to use. Mm-hmm. The next thing was, by the time we realized how challenging this was, he had only 3 months left before he took the AP exam.
Right.
So all these months were going by, and we thought things were kind of moving along, and then we realized they weren't.
Right.
So with 3 months left, that's when I said, well, you know, I started to get concerned because I could see that he looked like he was getting stressed a little bit. Mm-hmm. And that's when I suggested, you know what, we could just drop 2 of these classes and just focus on 3.
But our son said, no, I was guided to take all 5. I'm taking all 5. So, being solution-oriented, all of a sudden, and having that positive attitude, all of a sudden my husband started getting answers and ways to be able to help our son to make it through these classes, complete them, and be able to take the exams. And that's exactly what happened. And I have to tell you, throughout this whole process, my husband was like, I don't know how this is going to get done. This will be interesting to see how this is going to get done. Comments like that were coming up. And I was like, you know what, I am with our son. If he was guided to do it, then there's a solution. I don't know what it is, but it will happen. Things will take place. That's part of what making your yoke easy and what was the other half of that saying?
Burden light.
Burden light, yes. Or I call it casting the burden. And when you let go of it, that's when the solutions come. Until you let go of it, though, you might constantly be there thinking about it and constantly wondering, how's this going to happen? How? Is it going to work? Instead, you have to know it's going to be done. Did that make sense, hon, what I was saying?
It doesn't matter if it makes sense to me.
Well, I want to make sure I got the point across.
You got the point across.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, it's whether or not it makes sense to the viewers.
Right.
The bottom line is, what happened with our son on the classes?
Oh, he completed all the classes, got A's in every single one of the classes, and he took all 5 of the exams.
All right. So we say that because it goes back to what you were saying. How many times have individuals said something like, okay, this is going to happen, whatever it is. Let's say, for example, they say, I know I already have a new job. I have a new job. But then what do they do? Every day they're saying, I have a new job, right?
Right.
And then they say, when is the job going to come? When is the job going to come?
Right.
I wonder when we get the new job. Mm-hmm. Well, if you already have a new job, then why are you wondering when you're going to get the new job? Mm-hmm. No. Do you follow?
I follow. I understand. So you should not be thinking about when is it going to come. I already have it.
Exactly.
The one I'm in, may not be ideal to me at the situation.
It's not even that. It's not about comparing anything.
Okay.
If you already have the job, then you already have the job. There's nothing to compare to.
Got it.
And that's how it happens. The moment you start to think about when is it going to happen.
Or you compare it to what you currently have.
Exactly. That means you don't have it yet. And that's what I mean by if you're going to invite the Ascended Masters, that saying was said by Jesus, of course, right? Mm-hmm. About my yoke is easy
and my burden is light.
Mm-hmm. He said that. However, that applies to any Ascended Master. Because Jesus is the Ascended Master.
Right.
And so what he says, Buddha has said that in some way or another, Mm-hmm. I'm sure Muhammad has said that. I'm sure Krishna has said that. And any of the other big prophets, they've said that. Mm-hmm. Recognized prophets. They said the same thing, maybe in different words, but they've said the same thing. What are they telling us? They're telling us, once you invite us to help you, then know that it's done. Stop worrying about it. You don't need to spend time wondering if it's going to happen or wonder when it's going to happen. It's already done. Mm-hmm. You just have to know that it's done.
Right.
Because remember, everything is based on energy, right? Or frequencies. So if you say, oh, I have a new job, I already have a new job, and then that's all you focus on. So I already have a new job, and then you start to act like you have a new job. Mm-hmm. What kind of energy are you putting on that new job?
Good energy, positive energy.
So then it happens, mm-hmm. right? It manifests. Because all you're doing is you're pulling it down from heaven, because in the prayer, our Father's prayer, right? Our Father who art in heaven, it says what?
On earth as it is in heaven.
Right? It says, on earth as it is in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the other way around. So many people think like they say, well, I have to see it to believe it. How does that fit into that prayer? It says, on earth as it is in heaven. They're saying, I have to see it to believe it. Okay. That's not on earth as it is in heaven.
That's not helping
right?
co-create something for yourself.
Bingo, because you're believing your physical eyes. Mm-hmm. When you have spiritual eyes, you should be seeing with your spiritual eyes. And with your spiritual eyes, everything is perfect and it's already done. So, how does that fit into what we're talking about here? About my yoke is easy, my burden is light.
Well, it can apply to many different areas of life. If you're buying a home, well, not buying a home, but if you want the perfect home, you have to find a place to live. Thank God for the perfect home. And as long as you stay focused on that and not doing the comparing or wondering when it's going to happen or how it's going to happen, it will just happen. You just have to know that it will be taken care of.
Well, it's not even it will just happen. It's already happened. It's just about it manifesting in front of you. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. It's like people sometimes say, oh, it just came from thin air. No, it didn't. Mm-mm. It was already there. You're just able to see it now with your physical eyes. But it first had to be created in the spiritual realm. Mm-hmm. And when you make the statement, that's when you're creating it in the spiritual realm. Mm-hmm. The moment you say, oh, I have the perfect house, I'm living in the perfect house, you're creating it in the spiritual realm. Because remember, the Ascended Masters teach us, everything happens in the spiritual before it happens in the physical. And that's why you don't see it with your physical eyes. And that's why if you keep looking for something to see with your physical eyes, you've already defeated yourself. Because your physical eyes are limited in what they can see. They can't see into the spiritual dimension. At least not everybody's eyes at this moment, right?
Right, right.
And then you'll go like this, well, I don't see it, so it can't be happening. Bang, you just destroyed the whole thing that you were building. Mm-hmm. We tell the story about the kid with the chicken and the egg, right?
Oh,
he goes
yes.
and visits his grandparents on the farm, and he's excited about seeing the chicken. And he goes, he looks at, they tell him, oh, that will lay a chicken.
Not that will lay a chicken, that will produce a chicken. The egg will produce a chicken.
Produce a chicken, thank you. Will produce a chicken. And he goes, he's looking every day, where's the chicken? And no chicken. And then what happens?
Well, the one morning that he decides to stay.
No. But what happens when he doesn't see anything?
Oh, he gives up. He says, it's not going to happen.
How many people function that way?
A lot of people.
Right now, he didn't see anything happening because he's looking for the egg to crack. Mm-hmm. The egg didn't crack, so as far as he's concerned, nothing's happening. Mm-hmm. People live their lives just like that because they're depending on their physical eyes for proof. Now, just because the egg didn't crack, did that mean nothing was happening?
No.
How do you know?
Because, well, technology these days, they can take cameras and show you how the chicken is growing inside the egg. But you just know that there's a chicken in there.
So you know that?
Yes,
He didn't
I
know.
do. He didn't because he'd never experienced it. But he'll know from now on.
But see, should you have to experience it before you know?
No.
And that's the point. All right? When you live in the spiritual realm, when you're using your spiritual, when you're connected with your spiritual self, then there's nothing that you have to worry about because you already know that it's done. You shouldn't have to experience it in the physical before you know it. If you notice, we're not using the terms belief or believing or having faith.
Right.
Because we don't buy into that concept. You should know. All right? If you have belief or you have faith, there's still that room for doubt. When you know something, you are convinced that that's the way it is. There's no other way. It can only be one way. And that one way is, it is done. As Jesus would say, it is done. It is finished. That's it.
Makes sense.
So we're just kind of, I feel like we're just rambling. What other examples could we use?
We have several trainees who, like one in particular, she was going to get her daughter from a lesson or something, and it was starting to rain. And she just made a command, and she knew.
Said a command.
She said a command, and she knew that the rain would stop and would give her daughter time to get out of the building and into the car before the rain would begin again. And that's exactly what happened. But she didn't make the command and then say, oh, I wonder when it's going to stop, or oh, did I do it right? Is it going to stop? She didn't do any of that. She just knew it, that it was going to be done, and it happened.
So the point is that it's like letting go, like I always say, right? You put the command out there, or the thought, and then you let it go. You don't keep hanging on to it and keep checking. Is it done yet? You know, is it done? You know, have I received it yet, right?
Right.
You know, it's like when we went somewhere, and our youngest daughter, she said, where were we going? It was a long drive. Oh, when we were taking Champ to the GSE, the Governor's School of Entrepreneurs. Well, the traffic was really slow, and we were in the traffic for hours, and we finally got there, and then she went, what? Are we there yet?
Yes.
I know she was joking because she saw the
She saw the campus, and she's like, are we there yet?
Well, how many people do that, right? Like, are we there yet? Is the result here yet?
It's right there. And then you're so close. And then they ask.
So literally, it's letting go.
Right. Let
So-
go and let God do his thing. You
So
know?
make your command or say a command, or create your thought, and then let it go. Because you know it's finished.
Yes.
It's like when you and I were going to get married, right? How much time did I spend on it once I told you we were going to get married?
None. That's how it felt. Very little time.
Right? Yeah, what did I tell you?
You just said, we're getting married.
Done, right?
Done.
I didn't ask you. It's not this fairy tale
No.
thing where kneel on
No.
one knee and all that
No,
nonsense.
he didn't do anything like that. He just said, we're getting married. Just like when he told me, oh, by the way, we're dating now. What?
Done, right? And I didn't say we were going to get married. I said, you're marrying me. That's what I
Right.
told you. You're like, really? What makes you think that? I said, I'm not thinking that. That's happening. And you're like, how? I'm like, it doesn't matter. You're marrying me. Finish. Then I walked away. Well, that's the way you have to treat everything in your life. Because you know that you have an army of ascended masters and your spirit guides, your team, and then you have the angels that are working on your behalf. They have your best interest in mind. So be assured of what you're doing. You don't have to be afraid of making your statement, as long as you know it's the right thing for everybody involved, right?
Yes, it's for the highest good of everyone.
Everybody, right. But you make your statement and then leave it alone. All you're doing now is just, okay, it's already done. And then you go about your business and do what you know you should be doing. You're pretty much very sure that it's done, so that's it. That is what we call casting the burden on the Christ within, or letting go, making your command or saying your command, and then knowing that it's done. You don't go check in again and say, oh, I wonder if this is going to happen. I wonder when it's going to happen. You don't need to do that. And this applies with anything. What are some situations that you could just name that this might apply to?
To let go.
Uh-huh.
Okay. We've talked about the job, house. It could be purchasing maybe a new vehicle. You just say, I want the perfect vehicle for my family.
No, I have.
I have the perfect vehicle for my family. Let go and
that's it.
exactly.
And then that's when you just follow guidance. Really, you're just following guidance at that point.
Right.
And you might feel like, oh, I feel like going to this dealership. And once you get the proper training, you'll know when it's not you manufacturing things in your head. Right? That's a tricky one.
Right.
Right? It would be like our daughter who called me yesterday or 2 days ago, and she's like, Dad, I'm stressed out. You have to help me with this. And I'm like, with what? The one in law school.
Oh.
she called.
Well, she's called for like 2 or 3 days in a row, so I don't know which day you're referring to, but go ahead.
Whichever day it was, and they say, I'm stressed about this, and I want this stress. I want to let go of this stress. So what are you stressed about? About the house. I'm like, what house? And she started telling me about the house. I said, well, I don't remember anything about you getting guidance about the house. She said, well, I didn't. I sent it to you, but I didn't wait for you to get back to me. I'm like, oh, okay. And what has she done? She and her husband, they went and placed an offer in a house, and then the offer was accepted, and they were going to buy the house, and all of a sudden the tenant refused to move out, right? And then she's like, is this something we're supposed to be doing? She said, when this started happening, I said, I better talk to Dad about this, because he said before when his guidance, it should go smoothly, and this is not going smoothly, right? And then I asked her, okay, now haven't I told you you're not supposed to buy a single family home? We've had this conversation. We talked, this, we talked about what she should do. I said, well, you also said that if it's a good deal for the single family home, we should buy it. Now keep in mind, they're very young, right?
Right.
As much, she's still in law school. She graduates next year, I think, or next year. Right?
Next year.
She graduates next year. And she said, Dad, this house was great. It felt great walking in there. I felt like it was guidance because I felt really good about it. All right. Oh, then she said, it's a big house. I said, okay. It's only 2 of them. No kids, nothing. 2 people. Large house, really large house. I said, how much was the house? $500,000. I'm like, that's a good deal? She said, well, you said if it's a good deal, we should buy it. I said, that is not a good deal for a house. I don't care where it is. It's only 2 of you, right? But she felt like it was guidance. She said, so you're saying that that was probably me? I said, I don't know. But let me check and see what you're supposed to do now. And then, of course, by the time I checked, they were told to just walk away from this whole transaction, which then tells us that it was not guidance. But I tell a long story because it shows you that when you want something really badly, you can mistake it for guidance very easily. And that's when you should check, especially to purchase that size. You should definitely check before you do anything. No kids, nothing.
Right.
So anyway, so that's another one there. But another good one is, let's say, for example, we have individuals that are, say, in relationships that they feel are not very beneficial for them at this time, right?
Okay.
For whatever reason. So then how do you deal with that? How do you cast a burden and then let it go, knowing that you're in the presence of these individuals all the time?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because we've had many videos where we've talked about changing your perspective of the situation once you've, thanked the Ascended Masters for stepping in and helping you with it, and just being true to yourself, not responding instead of reacting to the situations that might come up because you're right there all the time.
And that's part of letting go, correct?
Right.
Now, the biggest part is this, which a lot of people seem to have a challenge with. And I don't want to venture into as why that is, but if you know that the angels, like Archangel Michael, or the Ascended Masters, whichever one you're close to, is handling the situation for the benefit of everybody involved. Not just for you, but for everybody involved. And that's the key. As a matter of fact, that's probably why they have a hard time with the situation because they keep thinking about themselves.
You're not
So,
about the highest good of
Not
everyone.
Everybody, exactly. They're not thinking about everybody. You know, as far as they're concerned, other the people are getting on their nerves. They're doing and saying things that bothers them.
Right.
So that's just, it feels uncomfortable. Instead of thinking, okay, well, why are they behaving that way?
Uh-huh.
You know, what karma is there? What could I have done in a previous life that's causing this to happen? But
Right.
because we think about just the life that we're in right now, then we think that we're the saints.
We think that we're the victims.
Right.
In this
No,
case, then.
I'm a very nice person. How could they treat me like that?
Right.
I treat them with respect. Why are they disrespecting me?
Mhm. Why are they hurting me?
Exactly. But then, have you thought about, well, maybe in a previous lifetime you were doing the same thing to them. See, if you start to think about it that way, then it's not about this lifetime any longer. It's about, oh, so it's possible that previous lives, whatever that previous life was, they were in my situation and I was in their situation where I was the one doing things to them and they felt this way. All right, so it's my turn. Let me just take it. I'll take my licks and handle it from here and move on. But I know that Archangel Michael and the Ascended Masters will make this light for me. You know, they'll make sure that this is manageable for me because I'm calling on them for all the help they can give me. And that's how it becomes manageable. And then that's what I mean by let it go. So you say, okay, thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you, beloved Mother Mary, or beloved Mother Kuan Yin, or beloved Gautama Buddha.
Whoever it is you're close to.
Exactly, right? Thank you for this perfect relationship with so-and-so, or with the perfect environment for my kids and myself. That's what you do. And once you've said that, then you know that the perfect environment is there. And then you'll see that it manifests. But if you say that, then you keep wondering, oh, when is this going to happen? When will these people behave themselves? Then you're admitting to yourself that these people are not behaving themselves,
Right.
which maybe it's your perspective. So until you change how you're operating, the conditions will stay the same. Does that make sense?
That makes sense to me. But does it make sense to you?
Let us know if it
Indeed.
does.
If you have any questions or anything you'd like clarification on, let us know. Remember to subscribe and like this video. Join the Facebook group 190 Vision to connect with others on the same journey. Get help by visiting our website 190vision.com. Support the 190 Vision mission by clicking on the donate button, which is at the bottom of each page of our website.